Welcome to the God Daily Bible Study. Today we will be focusing on Genesis 1 verse 5, which says, God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning, the first day. This verse is the beginning of the account of creation in Genesis, and it reveals so much about God and his character. Let's dive into it together and discover the spiritual aspects of this verse. First of all, notice that God called the light day, and the darkness night. This shows us that God is a God of order and clarity. He has a purpose and a plan for everything, and he wants us to distinguish and understand his plan. When we seek his will for our lives, he will give us clarity and direction, just as he did with the light and the darkness. Secondly, where we began in darkness, then there was light, day. This verse tells us that then there was evening and morning, and that was the first day. This suggests that God is a God of time and seasons order. He has set everything in motion according to his perfect timing and his perfect plan. And we can trust that his timing is always right. When we are waiting on God for something, we can have faith that he is working everything out for our good. Finally, notice that this verse is the beginning of the creation story. It shows us that God is a creator, and that he has the power to create something out of nothing. As we study the rest of the creation account, we see that God created everything with a purpose and a plan. He created the world and everything in it for his glory and for our enjoyment. Genesis 1:5 is a powerful reminder of who God is and what he can do. He is a God of order and clarity, time and seasons, and creation and purpose. As we meditate on this verse, may we be reminded of God's power and faithfulness in our lives. Let's trust him with our present and our future, knowing that he has a plan for us that is good and pleasing to him. Now let's focus on Genesis up to this verse. Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth." Two distinctly different creations. Genesis 1:2 says the earth was formless and void, or a waste and emptiness, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. The Spirit of God was moving, hovering, over the surface of the waters. Imagine the face of a woman. She is formless because she is without child, and a waste because she has nothing to do but waste her time and thus her life. So the Spirit of God, man, hovers over her, giving her purpose, motherhood. God never said this force's waste was evil. In that state, it served him no purpose. Then Genesis 1:3 goes on to explain, "And God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light." Still using our same comparison of dark water, woman, and heaven, man. Man hovered over consummated woman as heaven hovers over earth and water, symbolically woman. They created a child of called light. Now let's connect that thought to Genesis verse 4 and how it connects to verse 5 on a spiritual and historically symbolic level. Genesis 1:4 says, "And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness." This verse shows that God created light and darkness, and that he saw that it was good. Light represents goodness, truth, and purity, but it doesn't say darkness represents evil, lies, and sin. Using our same comparison, it's easy to see why the world subconsciously vilifies women and people of color, in the same way as night is vilified. Darkness, and everything related to it, has mistakenly been thought to be evil. But it's not the darkness that's evil. It is called wasteful and empty by God. It is not called evil. It's the things done in the darkness when we believe we can't be seen that are evil. The sin lurking in the darkness waiting to attack. Only the light of God can protect you from the forces of evil you can't see, because we are living in the dark. The separation of light from dark is as natural as the separation of child, light, and mother, dark, during the birth process. Now let's look at Genesis 1:5, which says, "God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning, the first day." This verse shows us that God gave names to the light and the darkness, and that in this period of symbolic time, he established the first day. On a spiritual level, these verses teach us that God is the source of all. God did not create us to be a waste and thus has a purpose for each of our lives. You are God's light, created to shine and give meaning to existence. God, being heaven, is the source of your light, just as your earthly father is the source of your life. Without your father, you wouldn't exist. Now that the light, you exist. Will you shine on your own or shine brighter with God? When we follow God and walk in his light, our light shines brighter. God wants to walk with us, so that our light will shine brighter because he is there, right by our side. However, when we turn away from God and choose to walk in wastefulness, the previous state of the darkness, we are choosing to walk blind, unable to see what dangers, sin, lie ahead. On a historically symbolic level, these verses also teach us about the importance of the Sabbath. In Jewish tradition, the Sabbath begins at sundown on Friday and ends at sundown on Saturday. This is because God established the first day at evening and morning before rest, which is why the Jewish day begins at sundown. The separation of light and darkness in these verses also symbolizes the separation between God's people and the world. Just as God separated heaven from earth and the light from the darkness, He calls us to be set apart from the things and thoughts of this world and live holy lives following His light, commandments, and living according to His will. Genesis 1:4 and 1-5 teach us about the nature of God and the importance of living and being a source of light. They also remind us of the significance of the Sabbath and the call to live holy lives. May we always choose to follow God's light and walk in His ways, being set apart from the sins of this world. In conclusion, Genesis 1:5 is a powerful reminder of who God is and what He can do. He is a God of order and clarity, time and seasons, and creation and purpose. As we meditate on this verse, may we be reminded of God's power and faithfulness in our lives. Let's trust Him with our present and our future, knowing that He has a plan for us that is good and pleasing to Him.